5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are the Bellrays from Riverside, California. We've been doing this for 30 years.
30 years. She's Lisa. I'm Bob.
Right.
The Bellrays.
We do rock and soul. You know, I don't know what other better way to put it other than what we do is organic
And all out.
and all out.
Is it the same lineup over the years?
No.
No.
These two, yes.
Yeah, we're the original members.
Founding.
Founding.
And we couldn't keep guys in for the first year. So I guess we're the Bellrays. We've always been the Bellrays.
You will be playing 11 shows in the row.
12.
12 days in a row.
How do you deal with musicians' problems as hand pain and overstrained voice?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It actually is a good question. We're that band that's proof that you have to really think about what you're doing. You can't go out all night and party. You have to sleep. You have to drink liquids. You have to not smoke. You have to make life choices that actually line up with being able to do what you need to do. You need to know what you need in order to get that done.
Sleep.
Sleep
and rest.
with a side of sleep.
And we don't do interviews.
Which country do you like the most?
America.
It's,
In Europe, I don't know.
it's hard in Europe. It's hard.
There's-
France is has always been a big contributor.
Yeah, France is like the home base.
Spain is always just
Spain are the big rock fans. Finland is like, I don't know. I consider it.
Germany would be great,
second
but it's
home.
full of Germans. I'm kidding. We're so excited about actually every place we get to go. So
Yeah.
it's going to be fun no matter where.
Is there a country where you would like to play and didn't have the chance to visit?
I
so
would
far?
love to play in Russia.
I was thinking the same
I would
thing.
love to play in Russia. I don't think I will ever, if somebody offers me the chance, I would probably say no. Because it's scary.
I would love
But-
to play Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico too. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Let's talk about your writing process. How did you come up with this blend in your music?
With the plan,
Blend?
Blend.
Oh, the blend?
Is it correct?
It is. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I don't think of it as a blend. I think of it as I think of it as what I hear. I don't. I grew up listening to lots of kinds of music, and it all of the best of it sort of connected in me somehow, and it just sort of comes out that way. I'm a guitar player, but I've always liked singers. I listen to singing. Singing sells me. Yeah, singing sells me. So
I'm a singer.
there it is. So that. Yeah, there's no plan to it. There's no.
But I think our blend is also evidence of just what happens when the two of us have been playing together as long as we've been playing together. It just happened.
Yeah.
It's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, all of my songs, when I wrote them even before I met Lisa, it was like when she started singing them, it was like, oh yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Super white manning.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to do.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you came in and just did everything I
And
needed you to do.
fulfilled all my dreams, Black person.
How much the media influence your writing? Are you the kind of an artist that worries about what's going on in the world?
I worry about it and I pay attention to it, but I'm never going to try and write a song to save the earth. There's just no song that could ever do that. It's not feasible.
I always thought our songs came across more as people that were worried about their own personal relationships.
Right.
Trying to deal with individuals, trying to deal with each other. To me, because we live in a world full of people, that translates into talking to a lot of people. It works that way. So much of our stuff are love songs without even really
And
trying to be love songs.
when I first started writing songs, I thought that way. I thought I'm going to write from this omniscient point of view or whatever. I stopped really quickly after that. You know, it's all about what I see. You know, they tell you in writing 101, write what you know, write about what you know. I know me, so that's what I try to write about. I try to write about what I feel like and what I would do and what I would like to see happen. You know, I'm never telling anybody what to do.
I always tell people what to do,
Yeah, she does. She's good at it.
but I don't write a song about telling people what to do.
She just tells people to write a song about what she wants people to do.
When you auditioned the bass player and the drummer, what was the criteria?
These are good questions. First, listening.
Yeah.
Most important thing is being able to listen, being able to take direction is very important. Having, like, we're really fortunate with Bernard because he's actually a guitar player. He's not a bassist.
Yeah.
He's
It's a better guitar player than I.
yeah, but one of the things that Bob ever brought when he became the bassist for the band years ago, he brought that knowledge of being able to play to what a guitarist needs. And Bernard is able to do that for Bob. So, I mean, we don't always get that. But we don't always say, must be a guitarist playing bass. But we know it works well because Justin was a guitar player playing bass. It helps to have that, but it's not something you put out in the call. For the drummer, we just tell them to hang onto your seat because we don't really know how to make them understand like what it is that we do.
Just play the song. Don't worry about what you have to do in the song.
A lot of trust.
Play the song. Just I mean, that's kind of the first thing I look for. I look for how they interpret the song, how they go into just expressing the song. The song is the thing that we're all there for. You know,
It's
without the
first
song,
and
there's no Bellrays. You know, it doesn't matter if you don't have the song. So listen to the song, play what the song needs. You know, everything else after that.
Bellrays' process of writing, is the lyrics first or the music?
It's usually the music first. It's usually me coming up with some kind of weird rhythm and then finding the chords and the melody that go with it, and then finding a lyric that fits. You know, finding some kind of a top line or a catchphrase or something that fits, and then you build the song around it. That's usually how it works. You know, with me. Sometimes I hear the lyric and the song sort of builds itself around the lyric, you know, and I hear the lyric and I just pick up a guitar and the song's written. It just comes out, you know.
Sometimes that happens.
Not very often. Not very often. Most times it's like, God damn it, I quit.
Is it easier for you to gig in Europe or in the USA?
Well, first, let me say something. Touring is not easy. Like, people need to understand that. Touring is not easy at all. And it's gotten progressively harder for all bands to be on the road anymore. It's a very arduous process. That being said, we do it because we love it. So no matter where we go to play, no matter where we go to do what we do, we're all in, but it's fucking hard.
Touring is touring. It doesn't really matter where you go. Really, it really doesn't matter.
It's hard everywhere.
Yeah, it's you know,
It's fun everywhere. It's
there's-
hard everywhere.
There's a job aspect, there's a work aspect of it that, you know, you have to do. But we're fortunate in that it's a job that we love to do. I mean, it's really fun. It's really, you know, you put in all the work, and the payoff is you get to go on stage and you're in Dijon, France, you know, or you get on the stage and you're in Prague, or you're somewhere like that, or you're in, you know, Baltimore, US. It's geographically, it really doesn't matter.
I
It
tell
really
you
doesn't
what,
matter.
if every politician in the world had to be in a touring band for 3 years out of their life, we'd have a different world we're living in right now. Because you gotta work your ass off. You have to work with people. You have to figure things out. You have to problem solve on a 24-hour clock. And people see what we do in that 1 hour that they see us on stage. But if they got to see everything else that goes into what we do, I'm not saying that everybody would say, oh, that's great that you do that. But they'd understand that you have to have a flexible mind to do what we do. And we're very flexible.
And you know, it's just true of every profession. There are people who are like born to teach, and they love to teach. They love to go into that classroom and meet those faces every day. They do that. There's an element of work that goes into being able to do that. They got to go home and grade tests. They got to come teacher plans. They got to, you know, no, but it's there's a.
If they had to do that while being in a moving bus and change locations every day, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a different thing. But being able to do what you want to do, you just have to understand that there's work. You have to work for it. You know, you have to work for whatever it is you want to do, and. If you don't think that, you know, you really need to think about what it is you want to do. Because there's a lot of people who think that, like, oh, rock and roll is great. You get to get on stage and you get to, you know, do this. Yeah, but first you got to practice. First you got to buy all your equipment. First, you know, then you got to find a place to rehearse. Then you got to find a band, and then you got to make that band happy enough to stay around. And then, you know, then you got to buy a van, and then you got to like book tours, and then you got to record records. And
you gotta have hard talks.
There's a fucking lot of work involved in it, and that's true about whatever you do. But you know, for bands, it's
not true for what you do.
No, but for bands, it's there's a public facade of it where the public goes and they see the show. And they thought, oh, well, you just woke up and you came and you played this show, and then you went home and then you played another show somewhere else. There's all of that work that goes into it, you know, and that should be acknowledged. I mean, it's hard, and it's the first thing we try to tell anybody who's around us that's going to be part of this.
I'm like, grateful you asked.
Yeah.
That's actually really awesome that you asked.
What is your last word for this interview?
We're playing in Stuttgart tomorrow. Come see the show.
Rock show.
Rock show.
Every time we go anywhere, the only thing we're trying to bring anybody is a rock show.
Whatever you do, believe in it.
Yeah, and that's
fucking believe in it and do it 165%.
When we were out there screaming rock show, basically we're saying, okay, you showed up for this to be a part of this at this moment. Don't let the fact that it's Tuesday or Thursday or, you know, your drink spilled or the girl that you were in love with didn't show up, isn't here at this moment. This is your chance to just experience what you're there to experience. If you can be in that moment while we're doing our show, you can probably enjoy a whole lot more moments in your life because you just plugged into that. I think we've gotten to a point in society where so many people think they have to do so many things or have all this other criteria in order to have a good time that they forget how to have a good time. We're kind of there to remind them, hey, let's have a good time.
Let's have a good time.
It's up to you to do it.
Pick what you want to do, find a way to do it.
Biggest influence, your favorite musician?
Paul McCartney is my favorite guy of all time.
No matter what he plays, no matter what he does.
Yeah, I mean he.
Singer, songwriter, everything.
Yeah, I mean
bass player.
But it's
guitar player.
I mean, I loved him because of what his bass did. Like I fell in love with his bass. I started playing guitar, and then I went to bass because I wanted to play Paul McCartney's bass lines. I wanted to do that, and then you start noticing things. It's like, well, what he's trying to do is what James Jamerson is doing, and then you start finding these other guys, and you start branching off into it. But what I liked about Paul McCartney is, without Paul McCartney playing the bass that he played, the Beatles were a third-rate. They had great songs, they had all of this stuff, but without that bass on everything after the one before Revolver, Rubber Soul, everything after Rubber Soul is shit without his bass playing. I mean, his bass playing drives every single thing on that. It's lyrical, it drives all of the melodies, it drives all of the harmonies, it drives the rhythms. It's just the most interesting thing about the whole thing, in my opinion. But that, to me, is what got me really interested in music. I was always a blues head. I love the blues. My dad was a blues guy, T-Bone Walker and Lightning Hopkins, and all of the Kings, BB, Albert, Freddie, all of those guys, Robert Johnson, all of those guys.
Some newspaper reported that CCR is still an all-time favorite band in the USA.
It probably is. I mean, like, that guy, to write all of the songs that he wrote, John Fogerty,
That's one of your favorite guys, too.
He was totally one of my personal heroes. When I started playing guitar, I wanted to play the guitar like he played guitar. And I get it, because the songs he wrote are just such simple, easy. They're simple melodically. They're simple lyrically. They don't take any imagination. But if you want to use a little bit, it's there to mess with.
So you mentioned Paul McCartney and you, Lisa. Who is your all-time favorite?
All-time favorite? If I went by just what influenced me the most growing up and what I listened to the most, it would have been Stevie Wonder. And just listening to those records and over and over and over again in headphones, and that was everything. It wasn't like I was trying to learn how to sing, but it's like I went to music school, because I would just come home every day after school and put those things on put the headphones on and just listen to records. Listen to records so much that I'd get in trouble for not doing schoolwork, not doing homework, not doing any of the stuff I was supposed to do. But I'd get home from school, do that, and just listen. And just listen. Not sing, not be in a band, not be in a choir, not be in any of those other things, but just listen. I think all my 10,000 hours were just spent listening to Intervisions, Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Life's, what is it, Finale? Life's Finale. Yeah, and then the Songs in the Key of Life. Songs in the Key of Life. I don't even think there's any grooves left on that record, because I played it so much, listened to everything. And it's not one of those things where when people hear me sing that they hear that. But to me, that's in the background of everything that I'm going for. It's just always there.
There's an example of a guy who, he was put on the track, he had the machine behind him and everything, and they said, okay, Steve, we want you to do this, we want you to do this, blah, blah. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to do this, No, you can't do that. Why not? I'm blind, like, let me do what I want to do. He just went and he did this, and I don't think, he found like the 7 or 8 guys that all ended up in the studio with him who understood what he was doing.
And a songwriter that helped him.
Yeah,
I mean a co-writer that came in and helped pull all that stuff together, because I've heard stories about the way that those songs started out being. Right. But I feel like later he became that guy.
Yeah. He was just a guy that nobody I mean, everybody appreciated him when he was doing it because, I mean, those songs were huge. They were, you know, they were mega popular. Everybody loved them and stuff, but nobody knew where they were coming from. Nobody, because there was nothing out there that was really comparable. That, you know, that was making it into the mainstream. You had bands like Parliament Funkadelic and stuff who got what he was doing, but they were being this other funk sort of thing. He was writing pop tunes in the most interesting way possible. I mean, it you know, I can't imagine.
No. I
can't imagine like having him walk into the studio and you're like, okay, Stevie, what are you going to do? And he starts ripping out Superstitions. Like, oh Jesus, I don't know what to do.
Or Where Were You When I Needed You Last Summer? That fucking song. Anytime I hear that song, it's just like, how do you even come at that from there?
And you know, there's a guy in the studio going, what are we going to do with this? I don't know. How about hit record?
Yeah.
You know?
Some of those things just sound like leaves blowing.
Yeah.
And then he makes a song out of it. And it's just like, wow. But to me, that's fucking punk rock.
Yeah. See, that's the thing.
That's, to me, people try to always tell us, say, this is, what do you know, that's hard rocking shit.
Because he went into the studio and people were expecting Fingertips or, you know, something like that, you know. And he said, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, you know, the songs in the key of life or whatever. And people were like, well, you know, what is that? Oh, it's only the greatest record ever. You know what I mean? And they gave him the license to do it, and he took the license to do it. I mean, it's just one of those things where
I remember going to the record store with my mom to get that record.
Yeah, it was just blowing people's minds, and that is punk rock. You know, when any of these guys, when Stravinsky wrote The Rites of Springs, punk rock. It's anytime you break those mores, anytime you
Kind of Blue, punk rock.
Kind of Blue, yeah. Anytime you look at the norm and you say, no, I'm going to go this way, punk rock. You know, and then when it becomes that, people attach the name. And then it's like, oh, well, that's not like Kind of Blue, so it's not punk rock. Well, yeah, it is, because Kind of Blue defined punk rock. So they're just using that definition to go someplace else, you know. And yeah, I mean, to me, that's what I like about this band, is because we, you know, that's really kind of what we strive for. You know, I like catchy tunes. I like to write pop stuff that people can sing along with. But, you know, I don't want to hear the same old rhythm. I don't want to hear the same old melodies. I don't want to hear the same old guitar tone. You know, I just don't. And if I can do it in a catchy thing in a different way, I would love that to be, you know, my epitaph. You know, that's written on my tombstone. He did things weird in a different way, in a catchy way. Weird in a catchy way. There it is.
You got it.
Yeah. So put it on my tombstone, whoever's watching this.